When you interact with the legal and financial systems, they aren't looking at a living person. Instead, they are looking at a commercial enterprise. You are just a piece of inventory on a state ledger. True wealth is rarely held by individuals. Instead, the most insulated assets are held by families operating strictly within the private sector. Over the next 5 minutes, we are going to cover exactly how to build a private trust to hold your assets, how to legally capture your government strawman, and how to execute the affirmation protocol if you ever step foot in a courtroom. Mastering these 3 steps allows you to stop operating as a subject of the system and start moving safely outside of it. The first step is recognizing the division between you, the living person, and your all-caps government name. In commerce, this capitalized name is known as the strawman. This document is a certificate of live birth. It acts as the foundational ledger that establishes your name as a state-created trust and an operating company. And this document, your Social Security card, functions as the employee identifier for that specific commercial trust. The legal system views the living individual merely as the administrator responsible for managing the liabilities attached to that corporate fiction. To separate yourself from that public entity, you need a private holding vessel. You do this by drafting private foundation documents to form an unincorporated association or a private family trust. Setting up this structure requires 3 specific private documents: your trust bylaws, a banking resolution, and a private EIN. But here is where most people fail. You must never register this new trust with the Secretary of State. The moment you attach public codes or state statutes to these documents, you surrender your trust right back into the public sector. By keeping your bylaws and resolutions unfiled and entirely off the public record, you ensure your holdings remain strictly private. Once the private trust is established, you make it the beneficiary owner of your public LLC or your all-caps government name. Because an unincorporated association does not register with the Secretary of State, it is not subject to public reporting requirements. Moving your public entities into this private structure creates a legal barrier that reclassifies the strawman as a foreign asset, shielding it from standard state oversight. This arrangement allows the trust to contract with you for specific services. Under this family office structure, the trust can pay for life expenses, such as housing or education, as operational costs of the business, effectively converting personal liabilities into tax-deductible business expenditures. Even with a private trust in place, you may still find yourself summoned to court. It is important to remember that commercial courts operate using an employer identification number. They are corporate fictions, dead entities. Because of this, the very first thing a court will do is administer a preliminary operational test to gauge your legal awareness. The moment you step forward, they will present a Bible and prompt you to swear an oath. You must explicitly decline this request. Never swear an oath. Instead, instruct the court that you choose to state a formal affirmation for the official record. This chart outlines the procedural metrics at play. The request to swear on the Bible is a calculated trick to test if you understand biblical and legal constraints. Agreeing to swear signals to the court that you are operating as a subject. By exclusively executing the affirmation protocol, you bypass their hidden test and maintain your proper standing as a living administrator. Once you understand this standing, your entire mindset shifts. You begin to treat minor legal infractions, like a speeding ticket, strictly as business transactions. Paying a fee to a corporate entity requires zero emotional reaction. It is simply the cost of doing business on their roads. However, this lifestyle has an absolute prerequisite. You must conduct yourself honorably and never infringe on the rights of others. If you don't bother anyone, the system will generally leave you alone. By taking the time to build an unincorporated association and merging your public identity into it, you proactively bypass probate and move your assets behind a completely private shield. Begin drafting your family trust bylaws today, and if you are ever called into a commercial courtroom, remember the ultimate rule: always affirm, never swear.